LCO.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the DoorDash LCO. It's day 18, it's week bloody 8, and we're having a damn good time here. Now, I want a drama-free week. I know everyone's probably got a lot of stress after last week, so, take a moment with me. Come on, big, deep breath. Let's go in, hold it, and out. Beautiful. Do you feel more relaxed? I certainly do, because you're going to have to. Let's have a quick look back at what happened last week before we jump into what could be the gauntlet for a couple of teams.
The fact that Wei had to teleport up there, and we still may even see a solo kill.
You still might see the fight break out. Needlework has to be proc, looking for the auto attack. The execute goes on out. Next, they're getting so close. One more. He steals it away. He gets the first blood.
The hidden gem of PGG would be decoy at this point.
What does he have to sacrifice when he prayed? If he's only lost one single turret plate, the TP commit in from Biopanther. A 2-man shockwave that just pretty much evaporates them. Easy resets and easy souls. Could have get ourselves a Magi's to follow. But let's not get too carried away. Caster Curse has done stranger things in the past. In goes the Glacial Prism. Locks in place too. The move full onto multiple members. He couldn't even zone use. A big shutdown found here by Momba. He gets himself a triple kill amongst it all. They could turn these things around. They could wait for the perfect team fight. Look to try and turn attention onto Mel, who's just being separated from the rest of the herd. The solo flare goes out to Incursio. 2 members lock themselves in place of Legacy. Last breath goes out, knocking members up. But Permafrost cancels him out of this game. They're at a deficit, but I'm going to group up and try and find fights. Once again, Floppy don't miss. Flash Flay gets it done, removes beat. So many TPs coming in to back this one up. It is a 1-for-1 trade, but look at Kevy getting it done. There's another one. But talk about Puma, the burn. Double kill found for him, double for Kevy. But Shock's not there to back him up right now. After stuck between a rock and a hard place, 1v3 he goes in. They're going to all follow themselves through the magical journey. Well, that's the smallest one of them all. He went for the Gore Drinker, flashed away, but still got clapped by the Bear Claws themselves. In comes Clear, dashing on in, but it's buffered by the Crescent Guard of Xin Zhao, and then Shock is unleashed. A double kill so far. Tempered Fate will not connect, but Direwolves aren't stopping for that. What a triple kill for the Star Direwolf mid laner.
Day that was the last day of games, but we've got some big games coming up, and it's not just me, your boy Mac, to bring you all the action. We have 2 other big fellas here on the broadcast. Today we do, of course, have the Rustmeister and the Skimmeister. Rusty, how you feeling?
Yeah, good, mate. Just look at it, Skimmy, quickly. I'm glad we've matched our outfits. That's the big win for the day. We've got our jackets on. I was told to wear it as well.
Ah, beautiful. Well, I don't own jackets. I just own Hawaiian shirts. So unfortunately, I couldn't join you there. Now, Skimmy, if you told me that we were wearing jackets, maybe I could have gone down to the shops that aren't open and tried to find one. But unfortunately, look, it was a little bit hard today for me.
It wasn't a bit the case, was it, Mac? I know you open up your wardrobe, but it's like, oh, which fancy pattern? Fruit, animal, flower, font. What could it be? It has to be something. A little bit of chest hair, a little bit of exoticness to it, and get the viewers keen to come back for more.
Always. Hopefully, they will want to come back for more. And let's have a quick look at the standings here for the DoorDash LCO, where all the teams are going into week 8 of games. Pentanet, Order, and the Chiefs. They're all highlighted. You want to know what that means? It means they have already qualified for the playoffs. There's nothing that can happen this week that can stop any of these 3 teams from not making it. It's just a matter of where they're going to be at the end of this regular season to hold on to those positions. Is Pentanet going to stay first? Are Order and Chiefs going to stay second? Well, I don't think that'll happen after today. The rest of it, though, the other 5 teams need to try to fight for it. However, at Mammoth, not going to be able to do that. There is a world where Gravitas can make it, but it relies on some of the other teams playing pretty poorly for the next couple of weeks. Rusty, any takes here before we jump over past the standings?
Yeah, I was just going to say we've highlighted 3 teams. We haven't low-lighted 1 team, and that's because we're a respectful league. But that's what I'm here for, to bring that to attention. So Mammoth definitely locked out. Not going to be able to make playoffs. Going to be playing that role of Banana or Blue Shell, whichever you think is more accurate, through the 2 remaining weeks of the LCO. Now they go upsetting what could be the last final dash home.
Hopefully it works out for them. Skimmy as well, anything crazy going on there that you want to talk about before we jump into what today's games are going to be?
Yeah, I suppose you're just looking at Direwolves, right? 10 and 7 so far, healthy buffer between themselves and the other teams fighting out for that 5th and final spot. So you're kind of assuming that it's a gone done deal. 2 games would guarantee themselves in there. Stranger things have happened, right? So You'd assume that's to be the case. The 5th and final spot all up for grabs, and depending on how some of these results go today and tomorrow, it could all come to a finale, a bit of a race to the playoffs finish line in week number 9.
Yeah, and it goes, it's worth to say as well that Peace, if they tie for 5th with any of the teams there, they actually have lost the head-to-head, so they need to pretty much come 4th or 5th on their own if they are to make the playoffs. So we'll see if that happens later on down the track. But for now, let's have a quick look at what games we are going to see here today on the DoorDash LCO. Of course, that first game looking like a banger. It's definitely the separator of the second place team's order, and the Chiefs going head-to-head to kick off the day. So it's going to be very spicy. 7 p.m. bit of yogurt maybe to bring that spice back. We've got Direwolves and Mammoth who are looking to play a good game. Hopefully they can make something happen. I heard there may be a little bit of a roster shuffle going on there for Mammoth as well. 8 p.m. we do have Pentanet and Legacy going head-to-head. Legacy, of course, can throw some crazy things in the mix and maybe cause an upset against Pentanet. The Pentanet's form looking at too damn good right now. And Gravitas and Peace there at 9 p.m. I think that is going to draw a lot of eyes, isn't it, Rusty?
Oh, it's going to be a big game. I mean, every game is important today. That 4th one in particular, seeing the head-to-head and how important that is for Peace in particular, because they cannot win those head-to-heads like you mentioned. So they need to stay 1 win ahead of the competition, vying for that 5th place. If Gravitas win, they're not tied on the standings. Gravitas actually work their way up from 7th to 5th and are in the running, front running for that final spot.
And I do see here as well that if Direwolves win and Legacy lose today, then Direwolves will secure a spot in the playoffs as well. And that means every other day will be a battle for 5th position. So let's see if that happens. Of course, Legacy have a pretty big ask of them to take down Pentanet. Skimmy, what do you reckon your game of the day is going to be out of those 4?
Personally, I'm going to go for game number 4. I think that is going to be the most exciting one because it is a bit of a do-or-die situation, right? Gravitas coming to this one with a game below Peace. Peace obviously haven't been looking too hot recently. So you're really looking at that one to say, okay, whoever gets the win, they've basically got the control of their own destiny, right? The own ability to decide who can go through. So we can talk about some of those strength of schedules later on in the show, but as it stands, that race for 5th, it's looking pretty exciting as to who plays who.
It certainly is. Now, let's have a quick chat about something that's pretty damn important. That is, Rusty, the patch notes. We're on a new patch this week. It's 11.15, and we are excited. Why? Because there's going to have a lot of action, because Akshan is in the mix for this week only, Rusty.
Yeah, Akshan's going to be enabled and be playable this week in the LCO. So the question will, of course, be raised on, has anyone been playing this, first of all, right? You know, Akshan's coming out with like a 39% win rate, has been steadily climbing in terms of his win rate. But a lot of people aren't very high on the champion. But I think we can all acknowledge his kit alone has so much potential in a competitive game. The W in particular, something we'll talk about if we see it. But as a champion, I would not be surprised to see maybe one of them coming through this week of the DoorDash LCO. Silas is on here because they've changed a lot of his strength over again. He used to be Q max into W. They changed it. Then he was W max into Q. Now they're changing a bit of the strength once again, back from the W, back into the Q. We're just flip-flopping over here, but that does change up Silas's strength just a little bit. It does make some of his lanes a bit more accessible and changes some of the potential matchups perhaps for him in the mid lane. Viego has seen some changes as well, and the TLDR of all the numbers on your screen is that they're trying to push him out of solo lanes towards monsters and jungling as a result. Bonus damage up and healing reduced against marked minions. That's the biggest change in there, and may do enough to push Viego out of solo lanes through this week, and we'll see very soon. And this is the biggest change. We've saved it for last here. Max Syndra, having changed the mana cost from 60 to 40, actually just brings Syndra up in viability, without a doubt. It's one of the biggest changes. You know, in terms of the way that Syndra plays lane mechanically, you have to press Q before any other button. You use it constantly, and reducing that mana cost at level 1 by 20 is not insignificant. That's, you know, upwards of 5 extra Qs in lane, which is an extra, say, 2 or 3 waves, and that means a great deal in competitive League of Legends for trading. So expect to see Syndra is what I would say.
Okay, we have seen it a few times this season, not too sure. It might be like only once or twice, really, because it hasn't been such a powerful pick. But Skimmy, you had some points there to talk about the patch notes as well, right?
Yeah, well, especially with the Syndra, it's kind of the rise once again of mages in the bot lane, right? It all started with Ziggs and what he could bring to the table. That hasn't changed at all. We then saw a bit of a snippet of Brand last week too. And I would expect to see Syndra as well fall into that same category. We've seen it overseas as a result. So anytime these major changes happen, it really is the case of which team, one, has the players that are flexible enough to have that in their wheelhouse, but two, what it actually opens up for the draft, because it allows you then to obviously utilize these flex picks early in the draft and keep the options guessing, keep the opposition unsure what they're actually going into, and give yourself a lot of flexibility in that regard. So I'm excited to see 11-15 what this brings to the table and sort of who gets a firm grasp in the meta.
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm most excited about, and I've been playing a little bit of Shyvana, that Q, the change on the twin bite, it actually has some really good AP scaling now, and that cooldown reduction increases the clear speed because you can get 2 Qs on your E on the mark. Little bloody minions there when you're going through the jungle. So it's something that could happen, and we have seen Shyvana in LCO before, so we might be able to see it in the LCO again. I guess we'll see once we get there. But for now, we want to talk about what you guys at home have been cooking up in the kitchen, in the meme production factory, all the trash talk. You want it, you want to see it, get it up here, get it on our screens, op.gg, send your mates op.gg and just do a bit of trash talk. We've gone over it. If you want to ask any questions, send them in, just literal questions in text form, because I told you can do it as video, because that could be funny. We got one, but then no one else wanted to join the party as well. So maybe everyone's a little bit too scared, maybe a bit camera shy, of course. We are all in this lockdown business without haircuts, so I fully understand. But the show must go on, so we just have to be here at that point, and I'll eventually shave this mug off. But look, for now, we do actually have a meme already ready coming in from your boy Bronson Frad, Bronson44. It's Pensinet before the split, Pensinet after the split. Guys, we really need to stop winning so many DoorDash matches. I don't want to have to pay for 2 seats to go to Worlds. That's beautiful. That is beautiful.
That's so good, man.
I didn't know where it was going. I saw like the 2 and I was like, this doesn't make sense. They're absolutely popping off. And then I read the bottom bit. So
Who's got the most on Pensinet?
I'm looking for you now. Chaz.
Chaz?
It must be Chaz, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, there's a lot of them tied with 3. Yeah, Chaz, Pabu, and Prader.
Okay. Popping off. Decoy's got a couple. Have we given it the bio more than once?
Bio's got 2, Decoy's got 1, but didn't he say that you can't even use it in New Zealand? So he truly has to support him to share it with the rest of his team.
True, he's just been sending it to the rest of the boys and making it work. So good on him for sharing the love, and good on Pensinet for hopefully having to book extra seats to Worlds. I'm sure they're going to be very comfortable. Now, that brings us a little bit closer to the game as well. First game of the day, of course, is going to be Order and the Chiefs, and this is the separator. We need to see one of these teams getting the dub to secure that second spot, because both these teams currently tied for second. But let's talk Order first. They've been doing a damn good job so far, and a lot of the time picking those sort of glass cannon, quite squishy compositions, but just having such good team play and positioning, they just seem to make it work, Rusty.
Yeah, Order is a very interesting team to watch in the past couple of weeks. They're on a 5-win streak. They've also won 7 of their last 8 games, which in essence is an entire round robin of victories there for the side of Order. Which is huge, right? They're on a massive tear. They've pushed their way up through the standings from, I believe, like 5th, maybe 6th, all the way up to contender for top 2, which as a result means contender for the LCO title. They've had really good preparation is the big thing that my eyes will always go to for Order. Their prep, their strategies, the draft and adaptations they've been making have been fantastic. They've been experimenting a lot in the past week as well. With some odd drafts, I think it's fair to say, but they're still winning with them, which shows the caliber of the player. So I'm very high on Order right now, and do expect a lot of good things from them if they narrow down their draft and stop perhaps experimenting against the likes of the Chiefs.
Okay, quickly, with patch 0.15 coming in, do you think we're going to see anything, affecting Order quickly, Rusty?
I don't think Akshan's going to be a big deal for them. There's a chance that mid lane will be playing more Syndra. It's hard to actually say until you see it, but maybe even Beats playing Rel could be something, because he does love the engaged champion.
Okay, we'll see if that one happens. Now, on the other side, of course, it is the Chiefs, Skimmy. And we heard last week in an interview from the big man Kuden that this patch, 11.15, is going to be their patch. Tell me, why do you think that is?
Well, it's a big man in the bot lane in Draku, right? He's only been the only player to actually play the likes of Blitzcrank and Rel, which have been buffed. 100% win rate on those two particular champions. He loves to play the engage style, you know, with a background as the top laner, comes down to the bot lane, brings that aggression to it, and hence why, you know, he's so omnipresent on the map to group up the rest of the team and find success, you know, wherever they can. So I'm really excited to see what this patch means for them, right? You know, if it is really a case of this patch is buff what we're so strong at, we can truly now justify it, because I feel like in recent weeks they'd slightly not taking their foot off the gas, but they'd been worked out a little bit, right? I think the first remnant of that was when we saw them go into Order last time. Order had a very creative draft into it, basically extinguished a lot of the aggression that Chiefs are known for. So it just kind of reframes the entire discussion into what happens this time as a decider.
And we also have a nice little graphic here as well to see what this patch is going to mean for the Chiefs. So Rusty, there's numbers, there's words. I'm pretty dumb, so tell me what they mean.
Yeah, I mean, Blitzcrank is one of the first changes that Skimmy highlights here for the bottom lane for Draku. He is one of the only people that has played the Blitzcrank. It's got 20 extra base damage at level 1 on the hook and 3 extra armor, which is just a buff. You know, that's just more ability for Blitzcrank to play the lane out at points where he's perhaps weak, right? When there's no hook at level 1, he has more armor. There's now just extra damage if the hook hits. It means the kill threat goes up in bottom lane. Big for Draku, big for the Chiefs, obviously, and maybe the rest of the league, but it's the Chiefs patch, so that's what we're highlighting. Rel Ferromancy, I believe, is just the manipulation of her fake horse. It's not a horse, it's armor. But the W's gone down from 13 to 11 seconds, which is huge, because that increases trade windows. Her W has 2 different aspects to it. Now they've both gone down 2 seconds. It's very significant for Rel, and something that may tip her over into being a little bit more relevant as those cooldowns get closer to that of the rest of the support pool. The last 2 are for lived in top lane, so it's not just all about the bottom lane for the Chiefs here on this patch though. Wukong's seeing some nerfs. It's a small thing, but extra health regen being removed. Lived is one of the only Wukong players, which is why we bring this up. So maybe a little bit less Wukong up there as a result, but Liv's still very good on the pick, could make it work. And he is a Mordekaiser player. So the reason that we've got this here is a couple of small little buffs here for the Mordekaiser. It's not crazy, but the stored post-mitigation damage increases the shield, the cooldown going down as well, actually gives a lot more trading and sustain in lane. And again, matches the other spells in Mordekaiser's kit. So could be a big deal, could be something that for the Chiefs, and again, their propensity for these abstract champions may rise up once again, and we might see a Mordekaiser top lane.
Well, gentlemen, we do have a lady to bring into the mix as well. The lady we all know and love, that of course is Nat T. How are you feeling this afternoon, Nat?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, I'm excited for these games. You guys touched on it briefly, but they're definitely going to be pretty action-packed and high stakes, I think. So I'm looking forward to it 100%.
Well, I heard you have, is it Mboma?
Yeah.
The fan favorites down there?
Yeah, I have Mboma and Puma to join me for the interview. Thank you both so much for joining me. And Mboma, I want to start with you guys because we briefly touched on how this patch is like, you know, the changes are in favor of Chiefs, or at least that's what we heard from Kuden. But I want to hear from you personally how you think this patch is going to impact your game style and potentially maybe your champ pool that we will see tonight.
I think this patch is pretty good for us, especially support. Like, definitely buffs help Draku a lot, but I think it was just last patch we didn't really know what we liked, and now in this patch we do. So yeah, 11.15 is definitely the Chiefs patch, I think.
Is it going to be giving you guys a lot more confidence coming into this matchup?
Yeah, I think so. I think in the Super Week we weren't really like sure of what we wanted and what we wanted to do, but now we're pretty like confident on like how we want to play and what we want to do in game. So I think, yeah, we're definitely confident coming into Order today.
And Puma, what about Order? How confident are you guys coming into this game?
I mean, I think before every game we're all confident. I think this game it doesn't mean like the end of the world if we lose. I think it's just like a showcase of what the best of 5 will look like, and that's what I think we're both looking forward to.
I think everyone's looking forward to that one. But you say, you know, this game obviously isn't the end of the world, but you guys are tied right now, 1 game each. And if you guys end up tying at the end of this split, you know, this match could be the decider for the seeding. So do you think maybe, you know, there is a little bit more pressure than you guys want to let yourself think about?
I would prefer to be second or third. I don't think it matters. Being first, it means we get to watch, but I think because we're all inexperienced, it would be better if we played more best of fives instead of watching.
And how has the prep been leading up to this game? Because we no longer had that Super Week last week. Do you guys find that you're more prepared coming into this game?
I think so. Most of the week was prep for Chiefs instead of PGG, which we play tomorrow, just because I think Chiefs are our biggest opponent right now.
Would you say that's a similar sentiment over on Chiefs as well in Boma?
Yeah, we definitely prepared a lot for Order because I think we match up pretty well into Grab. But for us, I think we're still looking at first place because we play Pentanet again. And if we win today and win the rest of our games, we can probably finish first place. So I think that's sort of our mentality coming in. So I think this match is important. But like Puma said, it's like at the end of the day, it probably might just decide the seeding depending on other results. But I think since we can still finish first, we're definitely looking to win today.
I could imagine, but I will let you guys go. Thank you so much for joining me and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
There you have it. Always good to hear from the players, their thoughts on what's going to happen. And that, of course, brings us to probably one of what I'm expecting is going to be a split predictions from us. Usually it's pretty one-sided, but I want to see what everyone has gone for. Okay, Rusty and Skimmy, Order on this side of the predictions. Let's jump over to page
not very split.
2. Not too split.
Looking really surprisingly not split.
I will be very upfront about this. I did tell production that I would just take whatever Rusty's prediction was for this game because originally I was going to put Chiefs and then I saw that everyone else had put Order. So I was really surprised. I was like, I don't know which to pick now. Like, do I go Chiefs or Order? Like, these guys are really closely tied.
Yeah, this is
believe
weird.
no one
I
did
didn't think everyone would pick Order as well as, like, I think I might even be the only one going for Chiefs with Twitch chat's prediction. And that's only if the Chief fans rather have more Twitch points at this point than what the Order fans do. So I guess we'll see once the game starts. But I am torn. I don't know which way this one's going to go. And it seems like you all think it's going to be Order. Did anyone discuss this beforehand? Or were you guys just, you know, everyone thinking, oh, we just think Order has it today, Rusty?
For me, it was more like a check on how these teams matched up against each other. I know Chief said that they go pretty well against them, but in the same vein, when we saw them last compete, Order shut down mid, they shut down solo lanes, and then they won through having a better bottom lane. So I think it's entirely possible we see a Kevi gap or a bot lane gap again, while the rest of the lanes nullify.
Well, if you guys know your judo well and feel like a succulent Chinese meal, please, exclamation DoorDash in the chat because it's dinner time. I'm hungry. I know I'm going to be ordering a little bit of DoorDash, getting myself fed while the games are happening. Of course, I'm not going to be casting, so I need that energy. I need to replenish it because I do a lot of these hand movements and do a lot of crazy things. I might even start to sweat if I do it so much because it's not 2 degrees today. It's crazy. Anyway, this game, it's going to be pretty good, and you guys need a little bit of food next year to get yourself excited. Keep the energy up because the energy in the server is going to be crazy because we've got Skimmy here spitting the words out very quickly. I don't think anyone can match this man's level of energy, honestly. Rusty, how do you even cast with him?
I bring him down to my level, Mac. There's only one way that this works. That's like when he's with Juves, it's 2 different beasts going at it head to head. With me, I have to bring Skimmy back down a little bit to where I am.
My favorite part is like when Skimmy's done like casted a hype game and then we're doing the breakdown. He's like, hey man, if we look at these stats, like it's just so insane. I don't even know how he played out of his mind. And he's like still doing a play-by-play in this segment on broadcast. And I'm like, it's okay, Skimmy, like relax.
Maybe I'm like a pet dog. I like need like pats just to be like, calm down, come on. Yeah, it's crazy.
Comes with the job though, doesn't it? Now let's have a quick look at a head-to-head before we do move across to Champ Select. I believe we've got the mid lane, no, bot lane rather. It is going to be Mboma and Puma here. So let's first talk about the poses. Who wins in this battle? I'm looking at Mboma with the arm pointing. He's fully locked one elbow and it looks like his arm's going backwards. So I think, you know, he's got that hyper-extension going on. I think that's a plus. I think that's a bonus saying, look how flexible I am. I can do many things in this bot lane and I've got crazy ability to do stuff. Whereas Puma's looking zen. He's ready. He's got his hand on his hand and punching his hand and saying, look how strong I am. I can stop myself from punching myself. What do you think about that one, Rusty?
I mean, if I was to criticize anything, the hyperextension means that he's pointing in 2 different directions. So I would have to give the advantage to Order from pose alone, but it's only by a small percentage, Mac.
Okay.
Otherwise, if we're to actually look at the stats here, I think the most interesting thing about all of this is the champions that they choose to play and the points that differ. Because you're seeing their most picked, and you could say, oh, there's a lot of similarities there, but don't forget you've got your Heimerdingers and whatnot for Mboma down in the bottom lane. A very different play style can come from both of these guys overall, where Puma, we've seen a lot more of the 1v9ing, which is reflected definitely through the KDA.
Yeah, with Mboma, I feel like after a while in Split 1, people just ended up banning that Heimerdinger against him a fair few times because they were like, nah, we don't want to deal with that. It's just weird. Don't know the matchup well. It's just a curious case of, just don't delve into what's unknown, especially in the competitive environment. And this man makes things work. However, going into today, it's a new patch. Do you think we're going to see any difference in the ADCs? Are we going to see that Syndra on either of these players, Skimmy?
I think we could. I mean, because whilst you talk about Puma being the guy that's going to play like sort of Draven and Vayne and so on and be that hyper carry 1v9 performance, I think both have shown that they're very keen to play the mages. They've both played the Ziggs. I'm sure if, push came to shove, he could play the Heimerdinger as well, but it was Puma that played the brand. I'm sure Syndra is definitely in their wheelhouse as a champion that they can look to manipulate and, get the cutting edge in the draft. So I think if there was a matchup to look at on a brand new patch, certainly would be this one for me.
I just had to quickly look around. I thought we were all having an earthquake for a moment, and it's good to see
mate.
you're
Yeah.
safe and sound there.
Well, I'm just trying to replicate me, being back in New Zealand where there actually are earthquakes. Just a little bit of spice of home, given that I can't go back.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I remember in America, I actually played a game through an earthquake. It was a very low numbered one. I can't remember what the scale of earthquakes are, but the Richter is a Richter scale.
Yeah.
That's the right, yep.
Yeah, it was a very low, sort of just a rumble, and I was like, what's going on? Why is everything shaking? And then I found out, oh, there was an earthquake, just over there somewhere. And it was kind of weird. Anyway, I think Champ Select is pretty close to being live, so I'm hoping we do get to see what Chiefs bring into this one with their new viability and the new champs. And Champ Select is ready. So here it is, Order and Chiefs going head-to-head. Who's going to be second? Who's going to be third? Well, find out right now.
Beautiful, Mac. Well, Earthquakes aside, this should be a bit of a banger. Let's talk about this one. 12 and 5 are where these two teams sit, as you say, tied in second, 1-1 in the head-to-head, looking to really try and battle it out and still aim for that top dog spot here, Rusty.
Yeah, I mean, it's a battle of the teams that are finding their form pretty successfully here, Skimmy, so it is going to be an interesting match to watch. Again, the week that we have between, we don't get to see Chiefs practice, we don't get to see Order practice. It's a new patch, a lot of things can change. Just to reiterate quickly as well, while we're in Champ Select, Akshan is enabled and playable, but it's not something that we would expect for teams to avidly be going towards. There is a world where red side bans it just because they don't want it to be, if they're not used to the pick, that's usually the case. But we'll see as the draft unfolds just how confident people are. I would imagine, I'm going to say we get one pick or one ban of it this week, probably.
Yeah, I suppose it depends. Obviously, these teams will be well rehearsed through their scrim schedules, their partners as to who is playing it and sort of what to expect as a result of it. A lot of those respect bans coming out here so far, with the likes of the Gwen still being, despite dropping off a fair bit globally, still being shown a lot of love down here. The Changi Galio, no surprises there as well. We've seen that combined in so many different angles, but also the Tom Kench. Whilst we did have this sort of hypothesis that it was going to be a top lane exclusive champion, Drake, who busted out last week, and said no, we can still make it work as a support.
Yeah, and he hasn't just been playing it in support in the LCO. He's been spamming it in solo queue. He's been an absolute terror. So definitely something that commands respect, and the flexibility of it obviously means a big deal for blue side first picks. So it's a good ban by Order, and also a lot of solo lane ban focus in general here from them. So I'm a big fan of what they've gone for. Not to say that you've taken away everything that the Chiefs can play in their solo lanes, but you might have limited their flexible options between them, which is the ultimate goal there. Viego, we just discussed before, Skimmy has seen nerfs, so it's curious that that's still prioritized as heavily. Could be Swathe in the jungle, could still be in a solo lane. Again, they just removed a lot of its lane sustain on minions, which I think was a great change, but can still absolutely function as a solo laner.
Still has an absurd pick and ban priority across the world right now, so I wouldn't be too surprised. I think people could play it in the top half of the map. Well, we got ourselves another Graves. It was banned away once against Legacy. Otherwise, Kevy just says if it's not there, then I'm going to lock it in.
Was that me or you that froze? Because I missed everything.
Well, there's the Ziggs that we wanted to see, right? But there's the Syndra as well. So I thought this could be a matchup where both AD carries were quite keen and inept to, or adept, I should say, really, to play towards that angle. So it's cool to see that we do have this already on the cards.
Yeah, it's a good shout that it could go into the bottom lane from yourself there, Skimmy, because definitely is a viable option and a flexible option at that. I think the mana changes open up. First of all, you don't need to go crazy passive in lane if you make a single mistake. Before it was reliant on really just Q trades. But the reduced mana cost means you can be more aggressive, which complements a bottom lane transition, and also means that you can bully mid lane matchups a lot more successfully. So, like, let's just say it is the mid lane matchup against a Twisted Fate. You'd have a very good time now in that 1v1. And works well with the changes to perhaps people not wanting to rush tier as much the first life.
Get to see where it does go. We've yet to see it from Kisse, so definitely is a champion that is possible, but he has had his Silas band away from him. The Fresh, despite that change, still an absurdly strong supporting champion that just gives you so many opportunities, especially against what Chiefs already got so far. A lot of CC come at you, look to try and find that initial pick and get the resets rolling with the Souls online here for the Viego. I suppose we can run our minds back to what happened when it was these two teams up against each other last time, right? It was the Diffusal with the Lissandra as well as the Viego basically welcoming in Chiefs to come at them. It was a lethality Nocturne from Swaif where he was looking to try and one-shot anybody with a LeBlanc. It wasn't to be the case, but in those scrappy natures, it was a case of just multiple souls roaming the landscape and Order coming out on top.
I'm glad you brought up Nocturne because that is also something that Order played with their Twisted Fate composition. So again, curious that it is going to be the Jax ban when Camille's already taken off the cards. Usually Jax is just seen as the counter to that. We've seen Jax around the world as well. What I was going to say here for Order though is the one thing that they need if they were going to go for say like a Nocturne TF comp or like a split push top lane is a tank in the support role. And so they see the Leona, the Thresh gets banned away. It's a good matchup for Thresh. And they're going to go for the Alistar instead. This does actually quite significantly increase the risk of Leona dying if she engages. Alistar can stand on your AD carry and obviously headbutt them back into the turrets. As we are going to get a Shyvana and Mac in the distance screaming. It's a big pickup, so we'll talk about that in a second. But the Alistar also can match Leona's aggression in trading in lanes. So I think right now there's a pretty solid place for it. In saying that, Syndra can handle Alistar if played well.
Certainly can. It's been a long time since we last saw the Alistar as well. Date your mind back. It's not a champion that really shows up in our pick and ban phase. I'm looking at the stats here. It's been played once. Now it's a defeat. It definitely hasn't been at the forefront of things for quite a number of weeks now. But here we go. Final pick. Get to see what the response is here as two of those main bruises that we know that Maximize loves to play towards have been removed off the table. That means for the final pick, it's going to be a Malphite.
So looking at the lanes where these players will be going, the Shyvana should be confirmed into the jungle role now. Definitely a champion that Swaith would be comfortable with. If it's about full clearing, if it's about hard farming, Swaith is a happy camper. Lived looking like he is going to be playing the Viego. It's possible that those two switch their roles or switch their champions. It's just how flexible it is. The reason that that is important to me is Malphite has often been seen as a counter to Jace. It is quite difficult. You know, Jace can get a CS lead, has the advantage of being ranged, yes. But Malphite gets armor and you just lose. Like, you actually don't get to use your melee hammer form because he'll stand there and just out-trade you. So you do have to kind of sit back in range, which means you're almost forced to go into the tier build. It changes the dynamic of the lane a lot. So I don't want to say I'm too surprised that it's going to be a Jace going in mid lane for Kisse. So I like what Chiefs have done overall. A lot of reliance once again on their bot lane, having all the crowd control of the comp, however.
Yeah, and I think the bot lane is going to be the exciting part because you talk about the Alistar first of all. You combine that with the Malphite, it's going to make it very difficult for these members of Chiefs once again to try and step up, be aggressive, be the one that are forcing the fights, right? Because the turnaround potential, the reactive nature just to swing the balance of that fight towards Order instead certainly is on the cards, and whilst it's skill shot dependent, you'd have to say. I start to look at, you know, skill shots in the mid lane primarily. You talk about Twisted Fate, you know that Chang'e loves to play to those side lanes, loves to play the champions that can influence not only himself but his teammates across the board. I think Kisse's got himself a bit of a big responsibility here to not only cancel out those ultimates, but also to chunk him out enough with his own poke to prevent that roaming being an even consideration.
Yeah, you're expecting the Jace to control the lane, handle Chang'e as best he can, try and prevent the roaming from existing. And right now, the one big thing that we didn't mention in Draft Skimmy, but we should quickly touch on before we get into the game, is that Order pick Alistar and Malphite 4th and 5th, and they banned away the Sylas in their second ban phase. Viego can only take basic spells with kills. Sylas would have been the most godlike Exodia pick almost by itself, but it's going to be denied this time. Order, very well rehearsed in their draft, is something that I'm used to saying, and we'll see how they execute today.
Certainly we'll see how they execute today. It's the first game of week number 8. And here to coach us through some of these ideas of what's gone on here today is the man known as Kood. And mate, welcome back to the show. 11:15, brand new patch. Are you happy with what you managed to pick up? Because obviously there was a lot of curveballs thrown from either team.
Yeah, I like our draft. We've been practicing it all year, every day. It's bread and butter.
Oh yeah. So I suppose it goes back to the idea of you being from another timeline. You've foreseen this this potential.
Yeah, something like that.
Beautiful, mate. Well, talk to me, because you mentioned last week that you're preparing for Worlds. You're not really too focused about things here. You're quite happy with how things are going. But you're 1-1 right now, tied with the likes of Order, PGG, and Direwolves. Who would you say is your biggest threat from those?
No one. Probably Legacy.
Oh, probably Legacy.
Yep.
Okay. Big Dog Legacy, which you don't actually get to play against in your last 4 games of the split. So I'm excited to see what they can pull out. Well, on a final note, we're looking at the current standings, and you're seeing how all these teams are on win streaks, and Order potential is there to claim first spot. We heard from Puma saying he's not too phased about getting first spot. Is it all or nothing? You need to guarantee that bye round?
We are getting first place. We're done. We let everyone win. We let everyone have the fun, but now it's time for the big boys to play. It's time for us to move on.
Big boys with the new coach buff.
And bigger things like Shenzhen. We let everyone win once. That's all they can. We're never losing again, especially to Order. This is the last time. Or the last game. Last game was their last win.
Love it, mate. Well, hey, we're going to jump into the game. We're going to see how it all plays out. And I'm keen to see if the prophecy comes true.
Yep. I'm head up.
What do you make of that one, Rusty?
Fantastic. You do that, Kuden. We'll talk about the game. One thing, actually, I didn't get to see too much of, Skimmy, but it is standing out to me right now is Swaith's clear on the Shyvana. Mac mentioned it, but one of the biggest changes is a couple of extra procs of your abilities with the E. Now, he hasn't used Smite yet, and I believe he juggled Blue and Gromp at level 1 for his clear. He went down to like 10 HP, man. Like, he was pushing the limits. And he's going to get his first Smite here on the red buff at 3 minutes. So that is an exceptionally fast clear for a jungler. Looking at Kevy right now, 3 minutes, 5 seconds, 2 camps remaining. He's about to get spotted by Swaith coming in with Smite in hand. Things get dicey here.
This is textbook Swaith. The most explosive player for getting those first bloods, but can be at his own demise, falling on Dan. He's gone for a cheeky invade, but the vision will spot him out, as you say. Kevy is still very much keen to clear and life leech with that Smite available. Draku's already going to go for an early roam. That's going to be there to try and clear out the vision and get eyes on the prize, but Swaith with that accelerated tempo is going to get the inline fields to get the first grab.
Yeah, and just looking at where Swaith goes next, he can go scuttle to scuttle. If you were Kevy in this situation and you're not looking to contest that top scuttle crab, you'd probably be going to the enemy Krug camp, but Dragku playing very aggressively with his vision and staunching that out from happening. You'll see that Kevy is a little bit too afraid of just not really knowing at the point that he moved from his camps of where Swaith was, and he's just going to recall instead. So now he's going to move to his own Krug camp instead. This does just mean that Swaith has 2 extra camps in hand, or 1 extra camp in hand at the minimum. We'll be feeling pretty confident about himself getting to level 6, being a strong Shyvana. Exactly what his team needs, Skimmy, more than anything else.
Certainly is. The explosive nature of that Flame Breath, once it gets a little bit of items behind it as well, can definitely chunk out people. Dark Harvest stacks will be rampant, as both junglers will be looking for that. Is Liv so far doesn't seem to be too deterred by this trading pattern, but Kislei's looking for the all-in, forcing out his flash. Response from Chungi's there as well. Could have been a very cheeky 3-6 first blood.
I mean, the response flash is fine from Chungi. Kisei mechanically fails the flash gate shock blast combo. Very difficult to execute because you're basically using 3 buttons in melee range and placing your mouse in multiple different positions, right? 1, you're flashing, 2, you're aiming the Q, and 3, you're moving the gate closer to your body. So it's easier said than done. But he's not going to be able to execute that time around. It is just going to be walking away as Chungi And that was a pretty good time for Kisei to have an attempt at it. However, I was feeling pretty strong, had the items, had the potential. And that's a pretty big feature here overall that we have to discuss, Gimme. That swap of champions through draft, putting the Viego top, putting the Jace mid, it is just winning lanes now where before it could have been even, and has meant a great deal for the Chiefs through the first 5 minutes of it.
As you say, I mean, just look at the score sheet, and it shows that Livid is up by a healthy margin right now, who really pushed the objective here. Already gone for a reset, didn't actually have to burn the TP as well, so he's still got the ability to make that first play. To return to this lane now with a Phage, with extra trading potential as Draku continues to be a man on a mission, look at a roam around, and leave Mboma for a bit of cheeky solo experience.
Excuse me, mid lane, Twisted Fate into the AD solo laner has gone for Merc Treads. So he has really said, I am not about this lane. I am simply here as a means to leave this lane after getting the waves, probably to bottom. Again, he's got double AD solo laners, and there isn't crowd control through the whole top side of the map. So I understand the need for boots, but that's definitely not going to be value at the current moment. They don't really do anything for him right now, unless he is ganking a Syndra or a Leona.
What does this suggest then for the context of this game, that he's going to be very much relying on his passive to farm extra gold, and then just look to say, well, I have to sack this wave, the wave's going to be constantly pushed against me, to try and hit a side lane where those tenacity purchases will actually find the value.
I mean, it straight up almost says to me that he's not going to be weak-sided. We'll hold the thought. Swave mid.
Yeah, that's the first dragon of the game. Swave comes in through. Flame Breath drops him to 50. Shock Blast is delayed and will not connect. But Chungy is going to go for the spell book so we can circle through these and not feel too punished by the fact.
I mean, I get ganking a Twisted Fate so that he can't go for your side lanes, but he has Corrupting Potion, so it's pretty efficient for him to be able to heal up the damage that was just dealt. You've also lost half your health on Swathe and shown your Shyvana's position on the map. So Order, first of all, get the Drake. They then get a free reset where the punish is like half health on Chungy, and he's going to regenerate that back anyway. It has Ignite and Ultimate, so still very useful on the map. And it means that Order get a free reset off here, and you can see them hovering around mid, working a little bit more towards the Herald as it spawns at 8 minutes. And it's protecting their mid laner. Really nothing lost from that one at all.
Should be quite happy with that, to say the least. Order in recent weeks have become a bit of a terror in terms of claiming those dragons, and you aren't too familiar with the passive of Shyvana. Gets a little bit stronger each time a dragon is acquired, so certainly a big incentive to play towards that one, but we have known that the Chiefs have passed. A lot of the emphasis goes on that very first Herald instead, so we'll get to see if they play around that as they look to start things off here.
Well and truly numbers in the area. Twisted Fate ready with ult. Teleport available from the Ziggs as well if it comes to it. Syndra has walked up because there is no teleport, so that's a clock kind of that Chiefs are waiting for. They're going.
And Pole to flash on in, look to try and find that pick target in. Kisei, first blood here, found by Kevy. He's already burnt his flash, instead of Flake to follow. And Mboma gets a kill in the trade, 1-for-1. Then the combo to follow things up as Mboma gets a double. The soul has been acquired, the damage is there, but where's Mboma going? He has to run for a minefield, then he gets stunned, receives a bomb, and both mages say, what's up?
Yeah, they definitely give him a hello, and he dies for that one. And Mboma definitely just disrespecting with his pathing, walking back towards mid, didn't stay with the team, gets punished very nicely by Order. And that was a fight that Order started, and I'm looking forward to the replay of that one because it's super well played by Beats. They just didn't really have the positioning for any follow-ups. Lived getting absolutely smacked around by the Malphite, who has based once in this game, and that is just the way Malphite works. And it probably goes and gets worse from here. But an active Shyvana on the board, Skimmy, is a big deal. And a good move from the Chiefs overall, but no objectives taken, and it's just kills traded.
Just kills traded, and as you say, no Herald acquired as a result, but they might look to try and run it back again. Let's see how it all started, because it was Beats with a flash pole.
Yeah, and just an easy kill on a Kisei, right? But Mboma's here so much faster. The reinforcements from Chiefs are all here. Malphite too far away. Puma has to teleport in. And that's the mistake of Order there. If they're looking to contest, then so be it. And Mboma falls victim to the Syndra effect, where he just can hit Qs, you know? They're in range for my Q, so I'm going to throw it. And suddenly I'm at the enemy fountain. I shouldn't be here. Gets punished nicely.
A bit too excited with the adrenaline rush of a double kill. So early on, needs a couple of more items before we can look to path so aggressively and look to stamp his authority on this game, as both mages will be mirrored across the board here. Both going for the Lost Chapter as well as the Tier, looking to try and stack themselves up and just avoid the nuisance of being a mage without a blue buff in the bot lane.
So a couple of item spikes are starting to come across as well. Swaith is one of those, namely with the Nash's Tooth already done. He's going to go straight back towards his Rift Herald. I'm feeling very pretty for himself overall. Hasn't gone for boots, hasn't gone for refillable potions. Is trying to be as efficient as possible in his camp clears. The only issue that he has run into is that they've been able to give a kill to Kevy as well. So there's no distinct advantage in terms of gold in the jungle, but does have the item spike first. And that's going to be a pretty big deal. And it's going to enable them to, once again, reset to the objective. But I don't think Order were looking for that Herald at all. They had their fight there, Skimmy. Now they're back to the Drake.
Before that Drake happens, they would love to find a pick. Draco, you got to be careful. The blast cone's there. He found them. He's gone for the flash. They found what they wanted. Now, the pingers continue as they're looking to completely zone away members of the Chiefs from this bot wave.
It does seem like it's going to have to bring Swaith down into the area. He's hovering mid lane right now. They're afraid of the dive. Chiefs have no vision in their red side jungle at all. So a nice ward from Mboma is going to at least let them get to this turret. The risk of being four-manned was still there, and Swaith puts his face in it, as you need to do. Finds himself at Graves at the Raptor camp, and things will dissipate. Big port of call here, Skimmy, is that Viego is walking down for a gank in mid. He has to because he has no teleport, which means they are looking to contest the Drake.
Still coming down to this one. Maximize is going to crash that wave in, you would assume, looking at the minimap. Now he's making his way towards this bot side of the map instead of using the TP. No big pressure just yet, as Chiefs feel compelled that they have to start things off here.
Teleport in early.
TP going to come on through to that mid wave, and instantly Chiefs say time to disengage away, but the Drake is still leashed, down to 50%. The bomb goes out, catches Mboma down to 50% as Chungy's on the flank. He committed his ulti to that as well there, Rusty. And that is Order with 2 dragons to their name.
So if you're looking at the cost for this dragon going the way of Order, it is time and minions and a bit of experience here from Chiefs, right? They share experience in mid. They lose a wave that crashes in top lane. And that's a nice little play from Order, simply because they have a teleport advantage that nets them the dragon, right? Patient play, good play, understanding that Twisted Fate and Ziggs have a good combo. And if they put a Graves in that mix as well, Twisted Fate hits stuns and everyone dies. There's this necessity for cleanse against Order's composition, but no one can afford to go for that. They've all gone teleport. So they're just using what they have, right? And their tools have net them a very nice second objective in this game.
See where Swaith goes with this Herald. He spent a long time here in the mid lane, looking to hover and protect it. You can clearly tell that he's quite concerned about the effect that Chunky could have. The Herald will be summoned. Liv's been brought to the party. We are going to be looking at what could be a 4v3 in Order's favor as the Dragon Form's committed. Swaith flashing away for the unstoppable force. It's not an AP Malphite, but it can still do a fair bit of work.
Yeah, it's not a tank Shyvana as well, so keep that in mind. It may not be AP Malphite, but that's a pretty squishy dragon. Looks may deceive you. Flash was very respectful and correct, I believe, here as well from Swaith. The reinforcements from Order were literally right there dealing with their Herald. The charge is secured. The plates are given over to the side of the Chiefs, and an extra 300 gold won't go awry for them. But again, Order have good measure on the map, and they're not giving Chiefs an inch. They're contesting every single detail. And no matter how well the Chiefs seem to be playing or moving around the map, they are being measured and they are being responded to in kind by Order. So we definitely have ourselves 14 minutes in here, Skimmy. A very good game from the top of the table of the LCO.
You'd expect nothing less really at this state or this stage of the season. Hasn't been the most explosive in terms of those turret plate acquisitions, but you could say that the draft kind of leads itself towards that. Some of those item spikes starting to come on through now. It is still going to be the Kevy show of running this Lethality Graves. We've seen what that can do before. Gets a few kills. Go roaming. Very strong in the 1v1. You can take down anybody. Might just be looking to do that one again. The gold card connects onto Kiss a flash pole once again. Kevy secures that kill, but Swaith is in. Swaith is dead and gone. 2 members lost in the Bermuda Triangle of bot lane Bush. And, well, Order at the 15-minute mark find themselves with a gold lead.
That absolutely, we could call that the Bermuda Tri-Bush. I think at this point, Chiefs try and defend, right? Swaith tries to save Kiso, but the mistake had already been made and they double down. and they get punished twice over instead of just accepting reality. Order now moving mid. They might have Dragku.
This could really get out of hand very quickly now. Lots of flashes committed, but the CC is there. The damage is certainly there. We talk about a power spike for the Graves, and he just a couple of kills.
Let's just talk about the gold injection here for Order across the board. This bot lane outer turret is gone. Kevi goes mid, working with Beats. These two have been unbelievable when working together, right, to find picks, to move around the map. They get 3 kills. They get the bot lane outer turret. Twisted Fate, anytime you see him even in farm with his lane opponent, has more money than his lane opponent because of the stacked dice passive, loaded dice, whatever it is, stacked deck, one of them. It's got extra gold. Skimmy, that's my point.
Yep.
And Order, it was even a minute ago, and now 3,000 ahead.
It all goes back to those Merc Treads, the bait of the item that looked to have no value. A lot of pressure shown his way with Swathe protecting, but ultimately it's Order that had the better idea as to how to actually punish this Jace. And now Kistay's not really in the position he'd love to be. Still going to offer a fair bit of poke. But 0-2, going to be looking a little bit more keen now. Try and force their hand on this game. Yeah,
they've prioritized item spikes. Puma has to flash away there. It was a good flash and very respectful, but that's going to hurt them for the dragon that's coming up. The thing is, like, Chiefs have prioritized their damage and they've sacrificed some boots for it, which means if they get to the area where the fight's going to take place first, then they might be poised. You know, if they get the vision control first, then there's a chance they're able to win this. They have an insane follow-up from the Jace poke, right? You've got Leona going and Syndra comboing stuns. Viego on a flank.
Solar Flare connects, even though he dashes away. The rest of the team are coming together and look to try and remove him. No jungler, no smite. And this might now be the chance for Chiefs to find their first dragon of the game.
Yeah, and that is big for the Chiefs because it does also potentially deny the third dragon the soul point. They're looking.
They've once more, the stun connects and then Liv's looking to try and follow. Then a flash forward by Dragku, but Chungy managing to avoid death. Someone's having to be burnt, and the poke continues to rain through mid lane.
Yeah, good aggression by the Chiefs. They force them away from the dragon. No contest. No opportunity to smite steal this one. Kevi dies. They make sure Chungy can't even get remotely close. You've got the teleports coming in from Order here as a response. They're going to the Herald. They're looking to trade objectives. And I do think the Chiefs are probably just going to reset here. So you'll be happy with their ability to flip the map quickly to get an objective trade, but that was still big from the Chiefs. That was a bit of an injection in gold in their pockets, much needed, and denying any kind of early soul, of an Ocean Soul at that.
Yeah, Ocean Soul's going to be huge for the context of this game, given what Chiefs have, so they'll be looking to deny that at all possibility, all cost. Wasn't the quickest Herald steal if you saw the original core 3 members that went towards it, but given Chiefs weren't willing to take any unnecessary risks, they want to get themselves back into this game, because we were talking about a 1k gold lead before. Quickly ballooned ahead to about 3k, but that has temporarily stemmed the bleeding.
Certainly has. It's staunched for the moment. And you know, one thing that I was going to say before this game, Skimmy, if there was one thing I would criticize Order on, it's that whenever they play against good teams, Chungy falls behind. He does that very consistently, right? It's often done because he picks a counter or like a defusal matchup. So like the Lissandra to LeBlanc, for example. Down 30 CS, like surviving was Chungy's game plan. But on this Twisted Fate, he's ahead in farm. He has 4 assists to his name, and overall you would say he's in very good stead, which is a good sign for Order fans because that's usually their point of weakness. You know, is definitely relevant in this game and has got a point to prove for himself. Rapid fire cannon there for the extra stun range to complement his team. He's still a utility player, Skibby, but he's not behind this time around. In saying that lots of things kill him. It's worth acknowledging.
Yep. Certainly have a lot of damage that can be thrown towards him. He's got himself a Herald. He also has himself a stopwatch too, so if he can continue to play at this pace where he's climbing up a storm right now, causing all kinds of problems of wave manipulation, certainly could be a team that blow this one out of the water very early on. But as we're fast approaching the 20-minute mark, it's interesting to see how the game is playing out because it definitely feels like Chiefs were bypassing those boots to hit those item spikes first to say we have to prevent this very early soul point, which they've done so successfully.
100% bought themselves a little bit more time to navigate around the map with less stress, right? Just able to play their own game. We've planted both bottom lane champions in mid now, Syndra and Ziggs at this point with their tiers stacking. Just going to be able to infinitely wave clear. Breaking these mid lane outer turrets, pretty much impossible. Unless you win a team fight beforehand. Herald is available, however, for Chungy. So if the Twisted Fate moves to mid, there is a chance. But there's also a chance that you have a split pushing Twisted Fate that uses it to break turrets if Chiefs move towards an objective. So we'll see how long he holds onto it for, because in 2 minutes, another Ocean Dragon is available. There could be a side lane play around that fact. In the meanwhile, I think we are just playing for second, third item spikes. There's limited resistances that both teams are going to be building, Skimmy, so the more items they get, the more one-hit potential we'll start to see.
Yeah, and both those bot lanes are planted mid at the moment, as you can see here. Making it, to your point, right, very difficult for them to siege, very easy for both these mages to clear out the wave and prevent that opportunity coming too easily. So you have to imagine that with the Baron now unavailable, vision is going to be a key element as to what side these two teams are playing towards. You can see the vision at the moment heavily topside favored.
Yeah, I mean, Beats has been up there placing vision to protect his Twisted Fate. It's a good lesson for all of you at home watching if you're playing mid lane, why your support is the most important person for you to survive come mid game. It's because they try and help you get vision. But Beats now has to reset himself. He hasn't reset, just quietly with a minute till the Dragon. Only has one ward left, where Draku's pretty fresh off basing. We'll have a lot of wards to place. At the moment, Order are going to abuse the fact that Chiefs are resetting to go for the mid lane outer turret. Herald and Ziggs obviously should be enough, but Order's still going to be lacking for vision come the Dragon.
See that once again, Beats is on the hunt. They've done enough. The flanking angle, we're going to try and keep members of Chiefs distracted. The Herald summoned successfully, and that will be the mid-tier 1 finally falling on down. 40 seconds, and another Dragon to play for. And the A-ramp begins.
And they really want Beats to get to base there. Like, again, both teams are aware that there is no wards now. Chiefs have a distinct advantage in this one. Order to take this Dragon fight will be face checking. That is the lay of the land, plain and simple. So fighting in mid lane is obviously their preference, and having mid lane priority comes first. Kevy.
Flashes are available across the board, and Swaif jumps in looking for it. He goes golden instantly to try and wait out that exhaust. The bomb gets dropped in his head, and that's enough to say lights out to the Chiefs jungler. Now what can Beats find? He's got a flash, but I'm sure he's waiting for the pole to follow things up with Maximize. Well, he'd already burnt that ultimate. He postured aggressively enough, and they found that initial pick that should allow them to put themselves in Soul Point.
Yeah, there's going to be no contest for the third Drake of the game for Order. Soul Point, like you highlight, is going to be all theirs. Beats waiting just in case someone was going to, dip their toes in the water, see if they can find their way near the Dragon. They would be suffering big time. Chiefs don't utilize the vision advantage that they should have by sitting deeper in the river. They try and fight in a really shallow position, so that gives Order all of the avenues of entry they could possibly want. And you're fighting on their terms and making it a lot easier for your red side here to get that team fight victory. And Swaith also, once again, is not a tank, Skibby, and is frontlining and being absolutely annihilated.
Certainly was isolated, wasn't he? He found the initial burst, as a Shyvana can do with the AP ratios, but after that, hit the stopwatch and said, well, I've got no team around me. They've all disengaged away. I will just have to be the sacrifice in this situation. So not really worth flipping a game on. He's come back, he's gone for the crab, he's going to get stunned out here. The bomb on his head again, that's lights out 2 times in a row. Deja vu, stopwatch there for Chungy. Wolf knocking up to as well as Beats goes unstoppable for a second right now. Immune to damage, you'd have to say. Draku flashing away, but Kevy soon to follow, looking for that kill! And the ultimate's there to secure it. Thumbs up, lights out, double kill. It's written in the stars. Lived, not looking too happy in that player cam, but Order in full control here.
There's not a lot to be happy about after the outcome of that one for the Chiefs. Baron on the cards, you've got Jace alive, you've got Syndra alive. If they could get near the pit, they have a lot of potential to do some damage, right? Really make the Baron difficult. But they have no chance to get even remotely close. Again, Beats just the perfect guard dog for the rest of his team. Just keeping them all at bay. The teamfight bodyguard of this Alistar. And I cannot sing his praises enough. We speak about his improvement through the split, but it continues. And again, Swaith, welcome to the Ziggs Twisted Fate combo. I hope you enjoy your limited stay as he just gets completely torn apart. And Beats stopping Kisei from getting any avenue to the fight. Drag who tries to flash away, but Kevy is cracked. There's really no other way to describe him when he gets Graves. We said this weeks ago, it should be banned. But here he is, putting on a clinic.
It's now his 5th game on the champion. Ever since he one-tricked it for the last few weeks, he said, look, you need to ban this away, otherwise I am going to lock this in because I will pop off. And to have somebody this proficient at a champion that he can consistently play to this level, it's a scary factor to take into consideration. It really is. And, well, with No playoffs not too far away. And this being the patch they're playing on, you start to wonder the research that will start to go on through.
Beats.
Again, two-man pole. The bombs are there. It's not Camille, but it's certainly enough CC to guarantee that that bomb connects. And they're just padding these health bars lower and lower, zoning away the key engaged threats of the Chiefs so they can carry on sieging.
And Shyvana gameplay is quite simply you want to use your ult as a fight starts. Maximize is pretty tanky, so this is easier said than done. Lived is going to get stunned instead, actually.
Take with their Maximize. Oh my god, Beats again, just headbutting him into his teammates and saying, have that freebie. Pick up a kill. Pat the KDA. But more so, laugh at these respawn times. It's 40 seconds now, Rusty.
Yeah, no way they're going to be able to defend this tower. Looking at the inhibitor, it is also very unlikely. Pete's keeping him humble, pushing him back. Draco's got nothing but an angry bee to say about this. They're going to look towards the end here, it seems like. No ultimates available. The risk is here, but they can do it with the Ziggs for sure.
Feeling confident about themselves right now. The Solitaire goes out, but it doesn't stun anybody. Enough to slow, but enough to force Lift back into the mesh. Draco jumps in, out comes Swaith. Once again, Dragon Form doesn't connect, and just doesn't do enough to dissuade Order from punching their ticket forwards. One final turret, an exposed base, theirs for the taking. A combo where Lift can do nothing about it. They weren't to drop a game, but Order have claimed the head-to-heads.
I'll be the first to say this, Skimmy. This is more than just a win for Order. To me, that was a statement. That was a clean, solid victory against this tied second-place team on the ladder. And that is the type of performance that I look at and say they're now a contender for the title against Pentanet.gg, right? That's the type of win that I see there. That's what 8 wins out of their last 9 games in a row. And every single week, they're starting to look more and more refined and better. And that was probably the best that I have seen Order so far.
It's now 6 wins on the bounce there, Mac. I mean, what a performance from them. You can understand now, I suppose, why there's this big preference to go towards Order.
Yeah, that certainly was something. I saw Shyvana get picked and I put 250,000 points on Chiefs. And I was like, yes, it's the new age. Shyvana meta's here. I called it. It's great. And I tweeted, Shyvana meta is upon us. Then towards the end of the game, I tweeted, Shyvana meta is not upon us. So that did not work out as intended. I feel like Shyvana to get rolling still needs, a couple more items just to get the ability haste up, get those cooldowns lower and have more viability in those fights. Unfortunately, didn't happen. So I'm sad. I'm sure Swaith's sad that it didn't work out as well. And Order, though, going to be extremely happy with that one. Again, you mentioned it was a statement, and, towards the end, they're like, well, we got a 3v5 here in base because Swaith's out farming somewhere, so how about we just try to end it, see how it goes? And then there was nothing really that could stop them. The double tank in form of the Malphite there and the alley was just a little bit too much to deal with, and it didn't look like there was that much damage output in the hand of Chiefs today. So maybe this patch was their patch to play around, but maybe the draft didn't go as expected. I'm not sure what went wrong for the Chiefs, but Order certainly played out of their minds.
A lot of it for me was about fight setup, right? Like, if you're playing Shyvana and you'd know this, you want to be using the ultimate as the fight starts, and you want to be able to get multiple rotations of your E off, right? You want to be able to burst people out consistently through the fight. But anytime we saw the fight happen, it was a lone Shyvana going forwards and instantly dying, which means that there's either an issue where it's not Leona engaging or it's Swaith engaging wrongly by himself multiple times. And the punish was just too good from Order. I think the comp from Order, the Ziggs and the Twisted Fate being comboed was unbelievable in this game. And Order definitely looking cracked.
Yeah, just really doing what they needed to. If you have a look at the stats here, Skimmy, there was the almost 10k gold lead going over to Order. And then a whole lot of objective control as well. I thought, with the Shyvana, Chiefs would try to play for those dragons earlier on, but then they just never really got to get near the dragons.
Yeah, the invitation in towards, I suppose, goes to Rusty's point, right? The setup wasn't as clean as you'd imagine, right? There was times where vision control was clearly theirs for the taking and maybe a little bit too aggressive, too keen as to say, look, we're going to go in, we're going to one-shot somebody, maybe overestimating their own damage potential, right? Because there was times that would go in and it just wasn't to be their case. I mean, I look at Order now and start to say, okay, that's twice now you've had like a clever draft advantage. You're looking at now your run to the finish line. You've got PGG tomorrow, then Direwolves, then Peace. You've got a big chance now to try and test yourself up against PGG that have been in insane form themselves, right? And see, can you actually reach the tippy top?
Well, I don't know. Someone that might know the answer to that question is Nat. Do you know if Order can reach the tippy top?
Well, you know, I actually don't know, but I can definitely ask Maximize, who will be joining me for the post-game interview. Congratulations on the win. How is the team feeling, and how do you feel after that one?
I think the team's feeling pretty good. It's really good to cement that, like, we're the second place team in the league right now. Personally, I think I was like absolutely useless that game. I picked my champion and I hit like one ult, I think, and like every other time was like flashed or I didn't have any opportunities. But no, I think like, everyone on the team played really, really well, and we're feeling really confident after that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys played magnificently. When I was talking to Puma in the pre-game interview, he said that a lot of your efforts were put into, you know, preparing for Chiefs. It obviously paid off, but what exactly were you guys doing for them, and, you know, how did it show in the game today?
Yeah, I mean, I think Chiefs have the very unique style of drafting in that they pick champions that aren't really played by other teams, and that sort of changes the game state to one that you don't really see in practice or on stage games. So basically what we tried to do is like really stabilize, get a draft that we were pretty familiar with, and then we know we just win if we played standardly.
So did anything surprise you that came out of Chiefs, or was it what you were expecting and so you were able to retaliate to that?
The Shyvana pick was definitely a weird one. I know Swait's a bit of a like Shyvana lover. The champion is like really not good if you don't get any drags though, and like since we got like the first two, the champion was just like really, really useless. And as soon as it blows flash, it can't really play versus our champions.
Well, I guess that explains why you guys had so much priority over that dragon and was so good for it. But one question I do want to know is, you guys just went for the end there, right? We've seen a lot of teams go back, reset. Who was making that call to just end there, and why were you so confident you could?
I think we're probably one of the better teams at realizing when we actually can end. Like there was a 40-second death timer, and Puma's like just very confidently said in comms like we can end no cap, because like without Jace they have very limited wave clear. And especially when you're playing a champion like Ziggs, like you actually one-shot turrets. So, yeah, Puma definitely pulled the trigger on that, and it worked.
It played magnificently for you guys. But look, congratulations again. I'll let you go, but thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Nat.
Good to hear straight from the horse's mouth exactly what's going on, and hopefully Autocamp reached that tippy top.
Is this a mute angle?
I love it. Like, both Rusty and Skimmy at the same time were like, what?
Is that a Mac
2
lag?
seconds of that.
He said from the horse's mouth. I know he said from the horse's mouth. So thank you to the horse for
The
that
robotic
one.
horse. Maybe it is Rel. Rel is literally become Mac.
You good, Mac?
Yeah? What happened? What did I do?
It's not good.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
No, nothing. We're all good. We were just surprised at, you know, you saying from the horse's mouth again.
Are we going to
anyway.
the DoorDash player that delivered? That's what I'm going to guess.
We are. We definitely are. I have no idea what we're talking about, but I do know who the DoorDash player that delivered is, and it is your boy, Chungy, popping off in the mid lane, doing God's work. He only got 1 kill, but he got 8 assists, and then melted a couple of those turrets as well. So, actually, Puma on the what did Chungy play? I completely forgot.
Twisted Fate.
Twisted Fate. Oh, he's great on the Twisted Fate. Good job, Chungy. You played well on that Twisted Fate. Jumping everywhere. Big ultimates, you know, 75% kill participation, couple of wards, couple of numbers, good damage share, good gold share. Rusty, you like Twisted Fate, don't you?
Yeah, so I'm actually a pretty big fan of what Chungy's done in this game, and it's interesting because he didn't have as many highlights as Beats, and I think it's very easy to give the player that delivered to Beats or Kevy for the 78th time in a row with how well they've been playing lately. But Chungy to the standard lifted today. He matched his opponent, which is the most important thing for him to do, and then he continued to play around his team. So 75% kill participation and a solid damage share as a utility mid laner, I think is worthy of the award this time around for Chungy, because that is, again, above and beyond what we're perhaps used to of his standard for scoreline.
Well, there you have it. So good to know that he did such a damn good job, and hopefully he can enjoy that $100 DoorDash voucher that he's won himself too. However, we have another game to get to. It's Mammoth and Direwolves coming up very shortly. First game, at least we've had that one deciding who is the second place team, who's third, and now the standings, I'm sure, are going to be looking pretty spicy. But before we jump to a break, exclamation playlist in the chat. We have a repeat song today, but it's the one that everyone knows, everyone loves, and get ready to bloody send it with this.
Because as there is no teleport, so that's a clock kind of the Chiefs are waiting for. They're going.
And Cole to flash on in, look to try and find that pick target in Kiss. A first blood hit found by Kevy. He's already burnt his flash. Instead of flash to follow, and Bowman gets the kill in the trader 1-for-1. Then the combo to follow things up as Bowman gets a double. He's come back, he's gone for the crabs. He's gonna get stunned out here. The bomb on his head again. That's lights out 2 times in a row. Deja vu. Stop what's there for Chungy. Wolf knocking up to as well as Beats goes